Hey my loves, welcome back for another video. Today's video comes courtesy of Lemoda. They sent over a 24-inch water wave lace wig, and I am going to be slaying her from start to finish. This is the unboxing portion as always, and you guys can see they have some nice packaging. The wig itself is secure, it's in a net, it has all the stuffing, all that greatness. And this is the tag that I was attached. It lets you know that it's 24 inches natural. Here's some nice texture shots of what the hair looks like straight out of the pack. You can literally install it without doing anything and it's going to look super gorgeous. I absolutely love it, but I really wanted to do a start to finish slay with you guys. So this is a clip of the inside. You have about four four combs in the front, and then you also have like a good amount of parting space, and then you also have baby hair. But we're going to be starting with bleaching the knots. We're going to add an elastic band, and then of course we're going to style her at the very end, so stick with me if you're interested. I am using a BW bleach and as well as a 50 volume developer to bleach the knots. But before we get to that, I've added my gloves to my hands to protect, and then I've also taken my Got to Be Glued free spray, and I'm just going to use that to kind of freeze the hair backwards. Baby hair does come forward and you don't want to bleach that, so by making all the hair go backwards in the same direction, it's going to prevent or help prevent getting too much bleach or any bleach, you know, on the hair in the very front. Normally you guys see me use water, but I do feel like the spray does coat it a little bit better and it helps it to stick, and I kind of feel like if you accidentally make a mistake, it kind of will help to create a barrier so that you don't end up with bleach on your hairline. So after I make my mixture is pretty much like a nice thick, I used to say pancake batter and people used to get on me about that. It's a very thick batter or a texture. You don't want it runny, you don't want it dripping. Think about the fact that when you put this on the lace, if it seeps through to the other side, it's going to bleach whatever's on the other side. So you want it to be thick enough to like sit on top of the lace, but still thick enough to be still thin enough to be pliable to move around the lace. So this is what we have. I kind of flipped it inside out as you guys seen. If you guys want to wind it and start it over, you can watch it a few times to kind of get the hang of it. But I like to be able to see in the inside, that way I can see when the knots are bleached. At this point, that clip right before I had showed you guys, and I was about to go ahead and rinse, but I decided to leave it on for about 5 more minutes. Got distracted and came back 15 minutes later. So I did get a little bit of over bleaching, which is how you kind of see it's orange. And luckily enough for me, or unlucky rather, I don't have any purple shampoo or conditioner at the time, so I just used my Tresemme and it worked out fine for me, but I will have to go back in and kind of tone the lace just to kind of get rid of a little bit of the brassiness, because I did create a little bit of brassiness. A clip of my natural hair as usual. I wish my hair was so much thicker and fuller. I have a nice length, but it's so thin, it's hard to do much with it. So go ahead and put on your wig cap. Now I'm going to go ahead and add the elastic band. Now normally when I do an in-depth elastic band tutorial, I'll do it on a mannequin head so you guys can see, but honestly I never use a mannequin head. I just go ahead and line it up with that comb on each side and literally just sew. So you see I sewed the first one right in front of that comb. I'm going to sew the opposite side right in front of that comb. I've completely done that and you guys can see it is amazing. With the elastic band, you want to make sure that it measures from ear to ear. You pull it taut as tight as you want it and cut off your piece. And again, you sew it down and it's going to make your wig fit glueless. That's my favorite part about adding the elastic, is that on days when I don't want to wake up in the morning and bond her down, she doesn't have to be bonded down. Now I did towel dry her. Again, I did use the Tresemme shampoo and conditioner. I'll have everything I use linked in the description box. And this was the result. I didn't deep condition or do anything special to the hair. Again, I didn't even use purple shampoo, so I will have to go back and tone just to reiterate. But I just used a little bit of wax stick to help me kind of comb the hair backwards and get it out of my face while I go ahead and trim off the excess lace. Now I do feel like I could go behind the hairline with this one. It's very nicely pre-plucked at the exact hairline, But if you go behind the hairline, it is a bit more full. I'm showing you a quick clip of how the elastic lays right at my ear, and everything lays flat exactly how I want it to. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut off the excess lace around the ear, and that's just going to help me to lay the wig super flat. You guys can see it literally lays perfectly around my ear, so that it pretty much lays flat. Ultimately, I am going to cut off the sideburns all the way, but I kind of just trimmed off a little bit, and I'll see, what I want to do as I go along, but in the end, we will cut them all the way off, and that's all about preference. So next we're going to go ahead and bond this wig down. Although we made it glueless, we want to slay tonight and do a complete install. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Got To Be Glued as normal. All I do is I just take my wig cap, I line it up exactly where I want it on my forehead. I do not like glue, gel, spray, alcohol, or anything on my actual hairline. So I do it in front of my hairline because I do have a really large forehead and it works out for me, but I just don't want to damage my forehead, my hairline, considering that I already have naturally thin hair. I don't want to make it worse, and this works for me. I allow that adhesive to get a little bit tacky, and then I go ahead and bond it on top. If you kind of feel like you didn't put enough adhesive, you're always able to go back, in and touch up. If you're using a glue, you won't be able to put the glue on top of the lace like you can with the spray, but you can kind of lift areas that may not have stuck very well and kind of add a little bit underneath using your rat tail comb, and that is just what works for me. So you guys see here, I did create a little bit of sideburn just to kind of show you guys, if that's something you're into, what you can do. And then I'm going to go ahead and allow this to dry. I had other things to do, so I wanted to just be able to allow it to completely dry before we move on to the baby hair. Okay, so I allowed my hairline to bond down for about 10 minutes, and here we are. You guys can see it is completely bonded down, super nice. Again, the hairline has a really nice pre-pluck, but it is a little bit more boxy behind the hairline, so you definitely will have to go back in and just kind of like part out a layer or a row of hair and kind of tweeze out behind that if you want a little bit more of a gradient effect. This worked for me for the purpose of this day, but I definitely will go back in on another day and hook it up. Again, tone the lace. One thing I will say about the lace is that I liked the way the hairline and the parting looked enough that I did not even add powder. You guys know I use powder in almost all my videos, but even though I kind of felt like it was orangey and I needed to tone, when it came down to installing, I kind of just liked the way it was. And again, that's all about preference, but if you don't, you can go ahead and add a powder to the parting. I'll leave the one I use in the description bar for you guys to check out. And here I am just pretty much styling the wig. I kind of take my time. We opted for a center part. Foam lotion is my favorite, product to use on the crown of my head, and I kind of just brush the hair in the direction I want it to sit and flow naturally. I'm going to create a little bit of baby hair. I didn't want a hairline full of baby hair, so I just kind of did the signature one swoop above each arch of my eyebrow, and that pretty much worked out amazing. So as you guys seen on and then also off camera, I went in and paid special attention to go ahead and bond down the sideburns. I even, used a scarf to kind of hold them down while they dried, and still they were not bonded down. This is pretty much the norm for me, which is why I usually cut them off, and to me that just looks a little bit more clean. Again, you can go ahead and tweeze it to kind of give it a little bit more of a gradient look, but just the overall fact that they're not just hanging there, especially because they don't bond down well. For me, since I have sideburns, I like to just cut the sideburns off completely and blend in whatever's there with my natural sideburns. So now we're pretty much done with the install. Let's go ahead and work on the length of the hair. If I did not mention, this is 22, or is it 24? It's 24 inches, I'm sorry, in length of hair. I believe this is 150% density, and then also 32x4 in the lace. The texture is Malaysian water wave. This is a glueless wig. Of course, we added that elastic band, and then also the texture is remy. So just wanted to kind of give you guys those things. Everything I use is linked in the description box for you guys to check out. My pretty much wash and go or curly hair routine for this look pretty much was a little bit of oil, then I added a little bit of water, and then I went ahead and added a mousse at the very end. I really love the texture. I didn't have to scrunch it to form the color or the texture rather, or anything. You guys can see when the hair dries naturally, it still has that beautiful wave, but the ends do dry a little bit faster. I did detangle off camera, so that the places that you see maybe a little bit frizzy are because I detangled opposed to just completely air drying, but I did want to allow it to get majority dry before I added product, just to see how the hair holds up and what it does when it dries, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I have no complaints. If you think the hair is too shiny, skip out on the oil, but I just love the shiny, wet, and wavy look on me, and it's all about preference. So at this point, I kind of regretted not going in and tweezing behind the hairline. So I used my wax and my hot comb to kind of go in and kind of straighten it out a little bit. I also did use a little bit of holding spray, and it didn't make a huge difference, but it made enough difference to satisfy my little heart. So you can watch along as I do this little part, and you can tell me if it made a difference or not. Okay, last step for today. Absolutely love the way the hair is drying, but I did want to add a little bit of dimension and layer because the hair is so long. It's absolutely gorgeous, but I kind of wanted something to frame the face and the front a little bit more, especially like when I pull the hair back. I like it to have a little bit of, just a little bit of dimension. I didn't go in and layer it all around. I literally just did it in the face framing center part area. And if it were a fuller wig, like if it were 180 or 200, I probably would have went in and trimmed it all around and kind of added the layers. But because I didn't want it to be too thin or thin it out too much, I wanted to keep a lot of the length. I just did it in the front, and I think it came out pretty good. So let me know what you guys think of this one. Thank you, Lemoda, for sending this wig over. Check out their sales that they have going on. Everything is in the description bar, as well as a list of everything I used to achieve this look. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button, please. It'll help me out so much. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Smooches.